Hi everyone, welcome to Rappler. This is Kai Magsanok and welcome to Rapcast. Today we interview a guy who calls himself an independent indigenous filmmaker. He is an independent people's rights advocate, and his name started becoming a word of mouth when he directed the music video of Huling El Bimbo for the Eraserheads. He is part of Take 100, The Future of Film, a book featuring the emerging generation of the most talented filmmakers around the world, published by Phaidon Press in 2010. Help me in welcoming to the Rappler studio, Auraeus Solito. Hi, Auraeus.
Hi, Kai.
Magandang hapon.
Magandang hapon.
Okay. So, one of the things that hit me the first time I started researching about you is that you actually come from a lineage of shaman kings in Palawan. And we call the tribe Palawan.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us more about your tribe?
Well, my mother was one of the first minority scholars in the Philippines. In the 1950s, there was a program by the government to send indigenous peoples to Manila to quote-unquote educate.
Okay.
So I was the first of our tribe born in the city. She comes from a lineage of, they call them tungkol. They were like the shaman kings. They ruled Palawan through wisdom and magic, and the magic there is like being one with nature. You know, nature follows you when you respect nature.
Right. Okay. So I know, well, this one thing is for sure. Now, in Facebook, you always write in Filipino. That struck me. And then there's this name beside Auraeus Solito. Is that your tribal name?
Yeah, that's my tribal name.
What is it? Can you
It's
share it?
Kanakan Balintagos.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I attend indigenous film festivals, actually the indigenous filmmakers knows me as Kanakan. They always
Kanakan.
because Kanakan means the blogan hunter,
Okay.
and Balintagos is like the truth. So I'm like a hunter for truth.
Okay.
And shaman dreamt my tribal name.
Okay. But you were born in the city. So how is this? Were you baptized? Were you also like christened your tribal name in Palawan?
Well, that was when I immersed myself in 1995 till 2000 when I trained under the shamans.
Okay.
So I lived with my elders for almost 5 years. But when I really grew up a Christian. You know, I was like the best altar boy in Sambeda in grade school, and you know, I was really a hardcore Christian. And in fact, my perfect scores in grade school were the religion classes. But well, I've always treated growing up in the city, it felt like something was missing.
Okay.
Something was always missing, and Palawan had this calling to me. Like when I was 5 years old, my mother brought me to my tribal land for the first time.
Okay.
And the elders were surprised because I knew every ancestral mystical place. You know, they call those places the Pook Lihiyon, or the enchanted places. And I would tell my elders, bring me to Muyos nila Hemma, bring me to Gusong Gusong, bring me to Bulukuin, bring me to Bulaw Pulaw, and they were all surprised. It's as if I grew up in my tribal land because when I was a kid, my mother told the stories of her land to put me to sleep because I was was afraid of the dark. So my
Okay.
mother had to tell me the stories of her tribe to put me to sleep.
Okay. So you grew up in the city. So when you were a kid, you were told these stories before going to sleep. Today, fast forward to today, you're one of the more respected filmmakers in the industry, not just in the Philippines actually, but around the world. How are you connected to the tribal practices of your tribe
Well,
today?
I immersed myself after graduating from the university. I remember I was in this writer's workshop, and we were telling ghost stories
Okay.
with other writers. And then when I started telling the stories, you know, this shapeshifter from one of our myths about a shapeshifter whose fingers cannot be copied, and all the other writers saying, "Oh my God, if you don't write that, we will steal it." I go, why? It's only you who has those stories. And the late great Rogelio Sicat, the fictionist, was like my mentor in the university, and he advised me that, you know, don't go abroad, don't study abroad, go back to your roots, live with your tribe. It's
Okay.
what you have that no one else in this world has.
Right.
And it's true. When I went back home, it's like a well of knowledge opened itself up to me, an endless well of fertile water and inspiration.
Did you find yourself there?
Yes, I did. I did
Okay.
find myself there. I found out why I love storytelling because my tribe, we would tell stories until the morning. I found out why I love dancing in a very jumpy way because our ritual
Okay.
dances in a very, we stomp on the bamboo floor, and I realized why I dreamt this way because our tribe would always dream of things to solve things in their lives.
Okay.
There will be always signs, and I learned how to interpret dreams with them. They were teaching me, and so it was an amazing time. I reached the last part of the golden age of our tribe because, in fact, only a few months ago, the last elders of my tribe has died.
Okay.
So, like my elder who wrote the Baybayin or the Surat Pinalawan, she was like my closest elder, and she recently died. And then I realized that I'm the elder now. I was walking with my uncle, and we were joking, and you're saying, "Oh, now I'm the oldest man here." Yeah, you are. And then suddenly the kids approached us, and then the kids made mano to my uncle, and then suddenly one kid went to me and made mano to me, and then all the kids, kissed my hand, and I go, oh, now I'm an elder too.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, it's like finally I've accepted. Before I used to joke with Catherine de Guia, the wife of Kidlat Tahimik, because she wrote a book about culture bearers. She included me there. And I would always joke to Catherine that I cannot bear my culture, Catherine. Why do you call me a culture bearer? But then after that realization, when I went to the grave of my elders, I took the not the burden but the culture. I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to bear the culture. I was born for this, and I'm ready to continue showing it in my cinema.
Okay. Bearing the culture, you're a filmmaker, but you graduated with a degree in theater arts.
Yes.
Okay. Why film? Was there already a dream or a premonition that eventually, since you will become the culture bearer of your tribe, that this was going to be a medium wherein you can spread awareness about your tribe?
Well, basically what happened was after graduating with a degree in theater arts, and my thesis was about the myths of my tribe. And it was entitled Ang Maikling Buhay ng Apoy, or The Brief Lifespan of Fire. And I remember Roger Sicat again was so proud because I finally interwove the myths that my mother told me. And when I decided to go back home, when I witnessed this ritual called a basal, and I saw the shamans fall into a trance, I realized I couldn't capture this in theater anymore.
Yeah.
And when I heard these more beautiful stories, I realized that I couldn't capture this in a proscenium or in any form of theater. So I started seeing the world in frames.
Okay.
So I realized that I needed a new medium,
Okay.
and that was cinema.
Right. Because reinterpreting that ritual in a theatrical production would not have done it justice.
Exactly,
right?
exactly, Kai.
Okay. Right. Short films from the mid-90s to the late 90s. And then your first feature film that won you 15 awards and citations around the world, Ang Pagdadalaga ni Maximo Oliveros. Okay. Suddenly, you were an independent director who became a mainstream, who produced a mainstream hit. How does it feel? Because until now, I'm sure that people still remember you as the director of Ang Pagdadalaga, right?
I would always say that the success of Maximo Oliveros, I think when I was in India, I finally figured it out, that magic. Because I think I offered 7 years of my youth to my tribe.
Okay.
I think when I eventually returned to Manila to pursue filmmaking, because one elder, actually, I eventually, what do you call that? I got death threats in Palawan, so I had to leave. And one of the elders told me, and my cousins were telling me that, because I was exposing so many issues. And it was featured in Probe Team in 1999, Pagbabalik sa Tribo by Howie Severino. And they told me, and by 2002, NGOs were going there. I had this documentary about my tribe, Basal Banar, The Sacred Ritual of Truth, which exposed the issues during martial law, how our lands were grabbed
Right.
by one of the richest crony of Marcos. And eventually, the elders were telling me, my uncle, the same uncle that told me that there are rumors that my life was just equivalent to one pearl because a pearl farm was being built. They stole our ancestral sandbars, and then they advised me that I should, you're only young ones, go to the city. You've done your part. You've done your documentary. So why don't you go back to the
That's
city and
why.
pursue?
Okay.
And when I went back in 2003 and then 2004, I was offered to do Maximo. And the sudden success of that film, amazing. I think it's because I offered myself to my tribe without any asking anything in return. It was just something deep inside me that there is this ancestral unconscious that needed for me to show the truth.
That not asking anything in return, I think, is something that people who watch your films are able to read between the lines. Because I was at the Busong website and I saw this someone from Cannes said that it was made not with the intention of joining festivals and getting awards. It was so obvious that you were just telling a story, a simple story of Punay. Okay, a girl born with wounds on her feet, so she cannot walk and her brother has to carry her. And the story of Busong, divided into 3 parts, is the story of the 3 people who help her brother carry her. Am I right? Okay. Tell us more about Busong. This is really, so far, it's won 5 awards and counting. And I love the title because it translates to instant karma. Can you tell us more about Busong, Auraeus?
Busong is based on my mother's stories,
Okay.
Stories that she put me to sleep, and the central myth there is about this myth of this wounded girl. And I've always wondered how it would end. And it's ironic because it's a long epic story. And eventually I actually captured the chant with my tribe when I went there to live.
Okay.
And then eventually I was wondering how it will end because my mother never revealed me the ending. And then finally, ironically, when I was doing the film, actually one of the characters is trying to look for the ending of the story also. So there was a double, that's why one of the Cannes programmers noticed that it was like a cross between fiction and documentary because I was also searching for the end of the film. And then eventually I find out from the chanter himself, who was present when I was filming, he said that the end is, a half-breed heals her. So ironically, that's what happens because originally I thought my uncle will heal her. But then one of my uncle shaman, the one who thought of my tribal name, died when I returned. So it was already gone. So it was again, I had to go to his grave. And it has been a series of, I think this Palawan trilogy finally being made is like a series of elegies.
Okay.
For my elders, for everything that they shared to me. So it was a spiritual experience creating this film, and ironically, my actor was there when I experienced my alter ego because Clifford Banagalia, this Phil-American, played my alter ego in the film,
Okay.
and he was he simulated the need to go back to your roots after he has not returned to the Philippines after 23 years, and it's like my need to return to my roots after 20 years when I was 5, when I returned when I was 25. So he captured that moment.
Okay.
And he witnessed the moment when I went to the grave. My aunt was there, telling me that, if only we had a cell phone, we could have called you, that he died last year. So there was this beautiful scene, and eventually, after the grief, I talked with my aunt and I asked her, can we reenact this
Okay.
truth? And she said, of course, because it's true. I can do it. And then my actor said, okay, you saw what happened, can we reenact it as is? It was magic. Some of the people who have seen Busong would always say that moment, your aunt, she's so good. I tell them, no, she's not acting. She was herself.
Yeah.
That was a true moment.